History class. My favorite class in school. Really the only class that could keep my attention. The tales of kings and queens who ruled expansive empires, the decade-long wars that accomplished really nothing, and the silly facts like Hitler was missing a testicle. Yet, I always had one question burning in my mind that I was never given the answer to. Who is the most alpha member of the Historical Person Club, which is a club I just made up. And I'll put that's also the title of the video, not the whole thing. I'll get the list. I have the list. Number 1, Mansa Musa, aka Musa the First, aka the richest man practically to ever live. Mansa Musa turned the Kingdom of Mali from just another African kingdom into a gold production superpower. He was essentially the Jeff Bezos of the 1300s, if Jeff Bezos was a little more, I don't know, threatening. He was also a devout Muslim, and he brought his entire squad of 60,000 people on his pilgrimage to Mecca, along with 50,000 pounds of gold. And that power move alone puts him already pretty high on the alpha list. That's a flex. That might be one of history's first recorded flexes. Number 2, Suleiman the Magnificent, the longest reigning sultan of the Ottoman Empire. It is said that during his reign, he was the exalted leader of 25 million people. And if you look closely, right here, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of hard to see this humongous hat. I think he used that to hide his gross little bald head. So while the whole amazing, longest reigning sultan, huge empire thing is kind of a big deal, I mean, a real alpha I think would go full bald and wear that with pride, but low self-esteem, I gotta put him on like the lower alpha scale. Yeah. I mean, it's not me, it's, well. Number 3, Nero of Rome. What can I say about Nero? Nero came to power after his dad died, but his mommy still had to hold his hand throughout most of, at least the first, part of his emperorhood. His mom one day got fed up with him, and he was like, just relaxing, just chilling out, and his mom came up to him and was like, "You need to stop eating so many chicken nuggets, you need to stop using the microwave every night. We have a whole palace full of food, and all these slaves bringing us food every time we need food, blah, 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 blah." And he got sick of that, understandably, because that's annoying. But he killed his mom. And he got a bit of a power high after that, and then killed his first 2 wives. It's already kind of beta, but then may I bring your attention to his chin, or rather his lack of chin, and his neck beard. Extreme beta. Extreme beta. I think, Mr. Nero, you can go there. That. This is the beginning of the betas. The only reason he's this high up on the list of betas is because he was Emperor of Rome, and that was kind of a big deal at the time. Up next, we have Oda Nobunaga, a Japanese daimyo, who is credited for uniting Japan. Before him, there was 35 or 40 stupid little clans always fighting for control. It's yeah, I'm sure your group of 150 people is gonna take over this whole country. Yeah, right. Idiots. That's what Nobunaga said. So he came in and he dicked down every clan and united under his rule. And under his rule, art flourished, trade flourished, Japan became super epic, as we'll say today. Unfortunately for him, both for his life and for his placement on this list, he was killed by his friend. His friend, in a quest for power, killed him. So, you're so badass, but then you let your guard down, or you hire some shit sucker who's gonna like betray. Yeah, so he'll go above Suleiman only because he was proud of his baldness. He didn't wear a giant onion hat. He had a big sword too. I don't see any weapons on Suleiman, so Nobunaga can go there. Otzi the Iceman, the most beta person to ever exist. This fuckface was found frozen in the Alps. He'd frozen to death only after he was shot in the back by an arrow. That at least, you know, that's no one knows anything about him really because no one cared enough about him when he was alive to write about him. But there was an arrow wound in his back, so my theory is that he was walking along the Alps, you know, and then his wife's boyfriend came up behind him and just shot him in the back, and then went, and as he bled to death and froze to death, proceeded to have sex with his wife. So that's what I think happened to Otzi. And Otzi, you can go on the floor. He doesn't deserve to be on the wall. He can go on the floor where he belongs, dead flat on the floor. Yeah, fuck Otzi. All my homies hate Otzi. And finally, the most alpha person on this list, in my opinion, Vlad the Impaler. Vlad had 3 reigns of terror across Eastern Europe and Transylvania and all that. His reigns were so brutal, he is actually the inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula. The Impaler wasn't his last name. His last name, IRL, was Dracula. So Bram Stoker kinda, he didn't do much, he was very, yeah, Dracula. Vlad had this quirky hobby of, you guessed, impaling people on huge 10-foot poles. And, you know, I'm sure today he'd be like, oh, I'm such a crackhead, like, you know, just gutting people on these, but it's like, no, you're not a crackhead, you're insane. Nevertheless, I can't think of a better way to assert your dominance than to eat dinner while hundreds of your enemies are bleeding and rotting in the sun in front of you. So, Vlad, I think you can go up on the very top. Mr. Vlad the Chad, which I promised myself I wouldn't say right before this video started. But yeah, this is my list, my scale, where you can take any historical figure and just look at them and, you know, is he more of an alpha than Mansa Musa, or no? It's really simple. Tune in next time when I do a female version of this list, because there are women in history who make Vlad look like a beta, and surprisingly some, if you can believe it, who make Otzi look like an alpha. Crazy, I know, but hey, you know, history, there's plenty of things to happen, you know, but yeah. This was History with Paddy.